Welcome back to another edition of In the Hot Seat here on the Podium Finish and the Podium Finish Live. Rob Tianson here with Daniel Hemric, who is the 2021 NASCAR XFINITY Series champion and now the driver of the number 10 Kaulig Racing Chevrolet Camaro entry in the NASCAR XFINITY Series. That's right, folks. Number 10, not number 11. But there's a good reason for that, which I'll let Daniel explain in a little bit. But before we get started, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, and hope you're doing good as well.
Absolutely. It's NASCAR playoff times by the time we get this on the air, but super excited, of course. And I know as of the race weekend leading into Kansas, there was some news where you're no longer in the number 11 for the rest of the season. You're in the number 10 car. Explain what's going on with that, why you're moving over to the 10 car.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into a decision like that. Obviously, 10 car has been shared majority by Cup regulars throughout the season, and they've been fortunate enough to knock out a couple wins and be solid within the owner championship. And obviously, as we get into this into the heat of the championship battle here, once the playoffs start, those Cup guys can't come run. You're trying to figure out. You have guys that are trying to get more Xfinity experience, and as that happens, you try to make a legitimate run at a championship, but you're doing it with guys that are looking for that experience, right? So you're trying to figure out how do you go about that in the right manner. For us at Kaulig Racing, it made the most sense, with my experience in the cars within the playoff system, to move me to that car, to try to go win the ownership championship for Matt Kaulig, and then obviously on the driver's side, right? It's a good opportunity for us to just go and do the same thing to win both. And then take our guys that got to fill in, that we're planning on running the 10 car. I know it's a lot. Follow me here. Plan on running the 10 car for the back half of the playoffs. They can get in that 11 car. Hopefully, they're 20 some points out going to the final race of the season. Hopefully, they can get in the Owners Championship too and be great. But if they don't, then go give that car a good run and try to get some experience. But yeah, as an organization, Matt, Kaulig, Chris Rice, everyone preaches that one team. There's no singling out the 11 car, the 10 car, the 16 car. They all share kind of by committee within what the parts and pieces of the race cars are, and kind of what gets inputted into the race cars. So as you go through a process like that, this is what worked best for us as an organization, and that's why the switch happened.
It makes a lot of sense for sure because that 10 car is high up in the OC championship, of course, and of course the 11 could be there too. Now, just for the fans at home who need to click some clarification, does this mean you're also going to bring your crew from the 11 to the 10, or are you working with the 10 crew as well?
So I'm actually going to work with a 10 crew as well. Just out of just trying to shake it up. If you remember, Kaulig Racing, we did the same thing last year between myself and Landon Castle, actually at this exact same weekend. So it's not completely uncharted waters for us. But the group and the groups collectively within all three of our Xfinity cars work so close together. They literally have almost identical setups in all the cars each and every week, every racetrack. That can be a strength or a weakness. It more or less lets myself jive with some different guys, and actually kind of back to the original group I was with here, in 2022 on the Xfinity side. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out, but it's gonna be good to see even the guys that are going to run now the 11 car throughout the playoffs to get in with some new people. And you never know what the future holds here at Kaulig Racing as far as who's going to work with who and personnel. So it's a good way to get everybody meshing together.
Certainly, but like you said, you're no stranger to change and you adapt very well to change. So I
Appreciate
have
that.
no doubt that yeah, you're welcome. I have no doubt you're gonna do a great job once we get to the round of 12. But let's actually talk about you approaching the playoffs because as we mentioned before we started, you just have to start the car and bam, you're in the playoffs again. So you get another chance to go after your second championship in 3 years. I mean, how confident do you feel about your chances to get another championship and continue your front running ways from the number 11 ride now in the number 10 car?
For me, obviously having that experience going through the playoffs, having to go through the rounds, kind of knowing what the priorities are, week in and week out as you go through the rounds. Obviously, I have a lot of that experience, but each year feels like its own, right? They all have little quirks that make them what they are. I feel like our raw speed could be a little better, and that would give us more opportunity. But it's a year where we're going to have to go execute at a very, very high level on all fronts in order to give ourselves a shot to advance to the rounds. But I also know that, you know, Kaulig Racing, myself, are known to go on these hot streaks and be able to put good weekends together one after another. So you just got to have your best at this time of the year. I've been fortunate to have had that happen before, and that's what we're preparing for. We literally just got out of a company wide luncheon where we had our official hype man hype us up within the lunch and just saying, let's go do it. Like, we're done talking about it. We are what we are as a race team right now. You got to go execute and have our good days. And yeah, I'm prepared for it. Our group's prepared for it, and ready to go to work.
I liken it to what the Patriots went through in NFL from like 2001 to 2004. You might have had a bad season in 2002 for the Patriots, but in 03, Belichick got the team to say, you know what, we've got what we got. Let's do the best we can if we do our job. And it seems like that's the same mission that Chris Rice and Matt Kaulig are delivering to you guys. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, of course, there's always strengths and weaknesses, but you try to know what those both are, identify them, and do the best you can to maximize your days. No different than what you're talking about.
For sure. I should have said Cleveland Browns because I know colleagues from Ohio. So I didn't mean to go talk about the other team, but hey, it's all good. We know what you meant from that though. But you've been with Kaulig Racing since the start of 2022. How do you feel like this organization has helped you elevate your racecraft to be an even better driver than the one that won the championship at Phoenix in 2021?
For me, I think there's a lot of layers to that question. Obviously, have a vice president, a team owner, between Chris Rice and Matt Cawley come and handpick you to come drive a race car and tell you that's your sole job. It's all you got to worry about. That gives you a level of confidence in yourself, and then it lets you delegate, your time and resources throughout the week. Between that and being a part of the Chevrolet program with Josh Wise and Scott Speed and our trainer Dan Jansen and all the folks that help us on the driving side, I think it's let me put so much more emphasis on that. And I think we've really seen some of the results, over the last 6 to 8 months, at least personally, I have for myself. Thought processes, really how you're attacking a weekend or any particular moment throughout the race with way less expectation, right? Like, you drive race cars as long as I have, you find yourself expecting things and expecting cars to do this if you do this. And yeah, just like collectively between Kaulig Racing and our program that we've been training in, like, yeah, you just try to limit those expectations and go and just be aware of what's going on around you. And yeah, it's just allowed me to grow on all aspects, personally and professionally. And I've been thankful for that room to grow. Obviously, wish there were a lot more wins in the win column and so on and so forth. But man, I just know I'm in a good place, physically and mentally, and they've let me just be me. So I'm thankful for that and look forward to seeing where it goes in the future.
Sounds like a lot of off-track growth, which has helped you have success on the track. And I have to say, during the summer, one of the things that really caught my attention was your ability to avoid those crashes and the last laps of those races at, I think, Atlanta, I think of, where it was so crazy. I mean, and in New Hampshire, you avoided all the shenanigans and got a top five. I mean, when you think about those moments, like how I know you want to get the wins, but when you get those top five finishes, is there a
Yeah.
sense of satisfaction knowing like, hey, I did the best I can, and I actually maximize on this opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's about winning the day, right? Winning the day, winning the moment. Those races you were talking about, we also followed up Pocono, same deal, green white checker at the end, and came out, with a top five. I think one of my main personal objectives has been to try to outfinish whatever my raw speed is that given weekend. I think that's a big win the day moment for me. And I think as we sit here today, I think we're ranked within the top two or three of guys doing that. So I'm thankful for just the process, right? Like learning through times of failure and trying to become better from it. Yeah, and it's been fun to kind of go through this part of my life, this part of my career, and still find ways and reasons to get up and try to push to be better every day.
Certainly. I would actually say that you're like Cole Trickle when those moments happen. Like, even though it was the last lap, I could imagine you in the radio saying, "Let's go. I'm through this." And so,
Yeah, good times.
exactly. Now, one of the things you talked about this earlier, and I wanted to touch upon this further. You feel like you've grown as a driver and as a person. And of course, this comes along with the territory that you have a pretty young teammate in Chandler Smith, who's driving that 16 car this season after AJ Allmendinger raced it last year. What's it been like to work with him full time and see him flourish as a driver and also get Kaulig Racing to be this formidable 1-2 punch with its full time drivers?
Yeah, I think, Chandler's got so much potential, and he's obviously came in really, really just in a good place with a lot of confidence, and drove our race cars right to their ability from really the first test we had back last fall before 2023 season started. I think he's very knowledgeable about the race cars, and he does a great job of just being on top of what the race car wants and needs at that particular time. And listen, no different when I came into it, right? Like, you have days where you knew you could have done better, made a couple different decisions, and had better results. I think he's done a good job of, just kind of going with it, man. And when he's got the opportunity, like he had at Richmond, he went and took it and won a race. So yeah, it's been fun to see him in that group, that 16 group, and then Bruce, led by Bruce and Chandler, have just done a great job of leading those guys. And yeah, I'm proud of him. It's been fun to be his teammate this year.
Certainly. And I think it's going to spill over to you guys just because I know Kaulig Racing's motto is always trophy hunting and winning races. And it seems like everything's starting to come together in this most important part of the season, which will be something we'll watch for sure on TPF, to say the least. Now, speaking of your leadership over at Kaulig Racing, what has been one of the most critical or best pieces of advice that you've received from Chris Rice and Matt Kaulig that you feel like has empowered you when you're in your stock car?
Oh gosh. For me, I think it goes back to, this is something I said last year, was, I come in here, as my own person and my own personality, and right, wrong, or indifferent. Like, I remember being around AJ Allmendinger the first couple of times I was around him, who's became a great friend of mine. But realizing like, hey, like I'm not AJ. I'm not AJ's, I'm not his personality. I'm not as outspoken as he is. I'm not a lot of those things. And I feel like Matt and Chris both were very quick to like, hey, we hired you because you're not that guy, because you are you. That's why we hired you. You be you, you do your thing. So yeah, I think that's just a good advice, not for just driving race cars, but just in general. So that's what I talked about earlier, was just having the freedom to be me and do me, and I've enjoyed that process.
I like that. And that's something in society and life that I think we should all learn from, is to be ourselves and embrace that, because we want to be the best we can without having to be like someone else. So that's great
Definitely.
that, Chris and Matt let you be yourself for sure. Now, speaking of yourself, this is kind of a sort of esoteric question I'm going to ask you, but if you had the chance to go have a chance to talk to your younger self when you were racing in the summer shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway, what advice would you give yourself about what you've experienced with life and racing?
Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, I mean, I'd probably just tell myself to just trust while you're doing it. And I know that's a very, very broad answer, but like, there was so much of people around me, younger, older, um, who are going on and getting opportunities at other levels, and you're sitting there continuing to race at the same thing, and you're trying to figure out, I didn't have a plan. Like, I was just at the race shop from, sun up to sundown, and longer, and just trying to go prepare for the next race and do the best you can, and kind of rinse and repeat day after day, day in and day out. And everybody asked about a plan. I just didn't have one, but I knew there was a reason I was showing up every day, putting the work in. And I would just, tell myself to have confidence in doing just that. That at the end of the day, showing up is the first step. And yeah, just trust why you're doing it, and continue to push the same way no matter what.
One day at a time. And I think that little boy from Kannapolis is pretty proud of the young man that you've become, because you're not only a great race car driver and a champion, you're also a great family man, because you and your wife Kenzie are raising your baby girl Ren. And I thought it was really neat on X when you shared that little post about her going to preschool, which I'm not a parent yet, but I have godchildren, and they're in one's in second grade, one's about to go to preschool in a few years. How emotional was that for you to see Ren go to her first day of school?
Yeah, it was extremely emotional, right? They feel like, you feel as a parent like, oh my gosh, you can protect them, and but when you start putting them into other environments, like, they're a bit out of your control at that point, and you just hope that the people you've entrusted, to put them with, that they're going to help mold them and shape them into who you want them, or who their potential to be is. And so she was actually in preschool 2 days a year last year. Now she's in preschool 4 days a year, which she just started back yesterday. And yeah, it's just special to kind of see her grow and change and evolve. And yeah, it just gives you a little bit of confidence. I'm not gonna lie, that you're doing a little something right when you see them, develop manners and develop the ability to have a conversation, and all that stuff is probably bigger than any trophy and all that stuff you ever win. So yeah, between raising Ren and all of her, she's 3 years old now, but we call her a three-nager, is what she is. And we have her little brother Rustin, who's now 8 months old, and he's getting into all the stuff around the house, and it's fun to see their little dynamic that they share. And yeah, it's for sure been top prize within our family and everything we do within our lives.
It's the best achievement that any person can live through is to be a parent, to raise life into this world, because of course you're going to probably take some of your favorite moments, some of the best qualities from people you've loved, as well as Kenzie, and y'all are going to have these children that are going to be what you'd hope to be even better than you. And then
Of course.
that's just a powerful feeling, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a little scary actually. You have that kind of, but yeah, we're enjoying every minute of it.
And it's all good. If you're not scared, that means you don't care. So I
I guess
think
so.
it's a healthy dose of fear, my friend. So it's all good. Now, a couple more questions before I let you get going and get ready for Kansas. I know you don't have a lot of time to unwind because you're a parent, you're a race car driver, but when you do get to relax, how does a round of golf help you decompress from everything that you go through in life?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. I think everything we do in a race car is so reactionary, and you can have a plan, and a guy blocks you, or you get in the fence, or you don't wrap the bottom around the racetrack like you want to, like whatever it may be, right? You're Whatever happens next is the most important thing. And I think playing a round of golf, I try to play once a week when I can. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks, but I tell you, I enjoy how similar they are, right? Like in golf, like okay, you triple bogey the 18th hole or the 17th hole here, you're going to 18 with another opportunity and another hole, and another swing of the golf club, and the next shot is all that matters. And there's a lot of similarities there between the racing side mentality and the golf. So that's why I've kind of attached to it over the last 7 or 8 years, and it's been fun to experience that as well. Actually do that with my team owner Matt and our president Chris Rice, and even AJ a couple times this year. We get together and play some golf. So it's been fun seeing everybody within those mental challenges you have within yourself during a golf round, and see how it translates to the racetrack.
Well, I could see the similarities already. Like you said, it's about getting the approach. And if you didn't get it right the first time, there's another opportunity to get it done right the next time, which is a lot like racing,
Yep.
but kind of on a lighter note. Who's the better of the golfers, you or AJ?
Listen, AJ's about was he 8 or 9 years older than I am, and about 20 more years of golf experience. But I like to be able to keep him honest at this point. He sure has probably more golf potential, but I can almost keep him on the ropes just enough to make it fun. So he's got me covered right now, but I can poke the bear a little bit. Like anybody listens to his in-car radio, I can get in the head a little bit.
So say one of these days, if I see you guys at Pinehurst, we'll remember this conversation, and then I'll ask AJ what he thinks about this too. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, for my last question for you, and I'm having a lot of fun doing this, by the way.
Likewise.
Yeah, you bet. If you had all kinds of money to build a racetrack anywhere around the world, what kind of track would it be and where would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's a great question. Um, Yeah, I mean, it would be in North Carolina. I love where I live. I love the town I'm from. I love everything about our situation and all the great things we have going for us in the United States, right? So like for me, it would be here at home. I think some kind of dirt road course, half dirt, half asphalt, changing directions from different surfaces would be a cool dynamic, almost like a rally cross type of event. Be fun to give it a whirl though, a different kind of car.
I would love to see that actually. And that's something I've never imagined other drivers wanting to see. So, yeah, I mean, if we can race on dirt in the Cup and Truck Series, let's have a little bit of variety, right? In the Xfinity Series, that would be cool.
Likes mixing it up. Let's do it.
Exactly. Well, before we wrap it up, do you have anything you want to say to our fans and your fans as well?
Oh no, just thankful for the support. I lose track of how many years it's been that I've been fortunate to do this. So to our partners, to Cirkul, everyone at Kaulig Racing, all of our fans that follow both sides, you and I, like it's just fun to continue to do stuff like this and keep the dream alive one day at a time.